Hello, I'm Ciarán Lynch and welcome to OviCast, the Teagasc Sheep podcast. Each episode will bring you latest insights, advice and technical updates for the sheep industry. With the Teagasc National Sheep Conference just around the corner, we're joined by Dr. Fiona McGovern to give us a preview of what's in store at this year's conference. Fiona starts by discussing the format and the topics covered in this year's conference, which takes place online over 2 nights on Tuesday and Thursday, the 25th and 27th of January at 8 p.m. We discuss the lineup of speakers with Fiona giving us highlights of the papers on both nights. Finally, we finish up with Fiona explaining how you can register for this year's conference. We start off, however, with Fiona giving us a bit of background to this year's conference and the move online.
It's that time of year again, Ciarán, when we're running our National Lowland Sheep Conferences, which are on this year on Tuesday the 25th and Thursday the 27th of January.
Fiona, them conferences is back online this year just due to current circumstance. What are the topics and what's the format going to be?
Yeah, so unfortunately we weren't able to hold a face-to-face conference this year, but we are offering 2 virtual conferences. So on Tuesday the 25th, we will cover markets and looking at global trends in sheep meat and how we can reduce input costs, particularly for feed and fertilizer into our sheep systems. And then on Thursday, the 27th of January, we're going to look at reducing lamb mortality, which is really pertinent given the time of year, and regulations on antiparasitics and antimicrobials, which are coming down the tracks pretty quickly at us now.
Fiona, we might just go through the 2 nights in a bit more detail. I see you're chairing the first night of it. Who's the lineup of speakers for that night? You might take us through the papers in a bit more detail.
So on Tuesday evening, we're delighted to have our new director of Teagasc, Professor Frank O'Mara, opening our sheep conference. Frank is going to give us an overview of some of the challenges facing sheep farmers at the moment and how Teagasc, through all of the arms of our organisation, are there to support the sheep sector in our day-to-day farming enterprises. So we have 2 speakers. So Michael Gottstein, who is the head of our knowledge transfer sheep programme in Teagasc, and Michael will present a paper that he has jointly written with Dr. Philip Creighton on fertiliser and feed costs for sheep farms and strategies to reduce those input costs. So as we know, this year, both feed and fertiliser costs are just gone through the roof, with fertiliser alone having cost increases of over 120% based on 2020 values. So it'll be really nice for Michael and Philip to go through that with us, and for Michael to detail ways that we can cleverly maintain productivity but also reduce our input costs. Seamus McMenamon then is a sector manager with Board BIA, and Seamus is going to take us through the global sheep meat markets and our outlooks for 2022. So for sheep farmers, we've had a really positive year in 2021 with really strong prices for our product, which is well deserved. But it'll be nice to see what we can expect going forward and how Seamus views the market outlooks for the rest of this year.
Both very relevant papers, Fiona, and hopefully some good tips in that first paper from Michael and Philip. And again, as James covering the whole market outlook, where we've gone to and looking at maybe where some of our sheep meat is going there. Certainly should be a very interesting night. So for the second night on the Thursday, what's the lineup for it?
Yeah, so on Thursday evening then, the 27th of January, it's chaired by Dr. Philip Creighton, our new enterprise leader for sheep, who's based in Athenry. So Philip is going to take us through 2 speakers. Dwayne Shields is a PhD Walsh Scholar with Teagasc, and Dwayne will talk us through ways of reducing lamb mortality. So risk factors associated with mortality, particularly around lambing and that early postpartum period, and what we can do as farmers to try and manage the mortality on our farms and reduce it long term. If we don't have live lambs on the ground, we won't get any return for our product. So it's quite important. And I think with lambing just around the corner, Dwayne's paper is really timely and something that everyone should definitely tune in to listen to.
Dwayne takes a really practical approach to that work and hopefully some very useful tips and tricks in that. So who's the second speaker on that night?
Okay, so our second speaker on Thursday night is Caroline Garvin, who is a superintendent veterinary inspector with the Department of Agriculture. So Caroline is going to present a paper to us based on the new veterinary medicine regulations that are coming into play from the 28th of January this year. So I'm not sure if everyone is aware of that. The regulations will cover antiparasitic and antimicrobial drugs and how we will need to get prescriptions in order to purchase those products and to use them on our farms. So it's something that we're all going to be faced with and have to encounter as the year goes on. So I think it'll be nice for Caroline to give us an overview of what will be required by us as farmers and what new regulations we'll have to meet.
Again, a very relevant paper. Look, a lot is changing in this sector, so this year's going to be very much a watershed in it, and I'm sure Caroline's paper will be very interesting, all those involved, whether from a veterinary end of it or from a farmer end of it or those selling the product. So a hugely relevant paper this year, Fiona. Just for anyone that wants to tune into it, both webinars are going out at 8 o'clock at night. How do you find out more details about them and how do you register for the conference?
Yeah, so all of the details for both nights of our conference can be found on the Teagasc website at www.teagasc.ie/sheepcon 2022. You will find links there that you can register for the conference, and once you register for one night, you're automatically registered for the second night. So just saves you a bit of time there. You can also find updates on our social media platforms. If you follow us on any of those, and if you don't, I would highly recommend that you do.
Perfect, Fiona. Look, it's certainly going to be an interesting conference again this year. Hopefully there's a lot of practical information and we're going to get an opportunity to see some of the new changes coming in the sector and how our sector is performing at an international level. So again, a very relevant conference this year. Thanks for the update, and we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday night.
No problem, Ciarán. I look forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday.
Okay, we're going to finish up at this point. I would encourage you to register for the Sheep Conference. Set that time aside next week with some excellent speakers covering a broad range of topics. Hopefully there's something in it for everybody. I have included a link in the description how you can go through and register. It's a very simple process. Once you register for one night, you'll automatically be registered for the second night. There is, as per last year, an opportunity to interact with the speakers. You'll be able to ask your questions online and the chairpersons will ask them on your behalf at the end of the papers. For any other updates on the sheep programme, keep an eye on our Twitter page at Teagasc Sheep. I'm Ciarán Lynch. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and listen in to any of our episodes.